Gracie Gatto podcast. I'm Gracie Gatto. Last week a polling company got caught. Not caught guessing wrong, caught lying on purpose. A poll came out showing LA mayoral candidate Karen Bass with a 12-point lead over Nithya Brahman, showing her picking up most of reality TV stars Spencer Pratt's old support. It spread everywhere because it was juicy, because it fit a narrative, right? Entertainment news. Then the company that made it up, Median Strategies, admitted it. The whole thing was fake. Their own words, a social experiment to see how a fabricated number could travel through the media ecosystem without anyone bothering to check it. The same company ran a phony poll in Wisconsin too. They had a socialist candidate up 20 points. 20 points. She lost her primary, and it was all fake. Now, let's look at what's been going on closer to home. New Hampshire, formerly first in the nation, a state that prides itself, takes real pride in being first to pass certain laws. Laws tied to victims' rights. Laws tied to elections. So here's the question I want you to think about today. If a fake poll can move a mayor's race in Los Angeles, my hometown, what's moving votes here in New Hampshire, in the state that likes to think it goes first? So let's pull back the curtain. Let's talk about Marsy's Law. In the spring of 2018, New Hampshire lawmakers started getting phone calls at home about a bill called Marsy's Law. Representative Linda Kennison wrote to her entire caucus that her constituents were being called and told to contact her, and that once she explained the actual bill, they agreed with her position against it. Her words, quote, increasingly angered this deceitful practice, end quote. 2 days later, that complaint didn't stay inside the legislature. A Metagree sexton of the New Hampshire Coalition Against Domestic and Sexual Violence forwarded the whole thread directly to the Attorney General's office, to Jane Young, asking her to route it to, quote, the appropriate person. 10 months later, WMUR reported the AG's office was still investigating those calls. Here's what most people didn't know while that investigation was supposedly happening. Months earlier, January 2018, Sexton had already looped Jane Young into building talking points to defend Marsy's Law against public criticism. Documents, draft responses, coordinate with Doug Balouf, Marsy's Law's own national policy advisor. Balouf's own notes that the answers were most of which were from the AG's office. So a year later, January 2019, Gordon MacDonald, then Attorney General, was directly copied on an email about legislative strategy for a different victims' rights bill, HB 705, along with a mention of a national grant program worth up to $1 million tied to how strong a state's victim rights laws were, called in writing an incentive. So by the time the AG's office was supposedly investigating who was behind those robocalls, that same office had already spent a year helping write the talking points for the exact laws those calls were promoting. Can't make this stuff up. Now, I'm not going to characterize this for you. I'm going to read you the state filing, okay? So we're on the same page. Quote, Marsy's Law for New Hampshire, filed with the Secretary of State Chairperson Emilio Gonzalez, Treasurer Andrew Beamer. Total receipts as of this filing, $430,000. Number of contributors, one. Every dollar that built this campaign came from a single donor, Henry T. Nicholas III of Aliso Viejo, California. Listed occupation, philanthropist, business executive. 5 checks, $50,000 in February, $100,000 in March, $100,000 in April, $130,000 more in April, and $50,000 in May. And not one New Hampshire dollar. Not one 1 New Hampshire dollar. Not 1 New Hampshire dollar. Not 1 New Hampshire name. Not 1 New Hampshire name. Not 1 New Hampshire dollar. Not 1 New Hampshire dollar. Not 1 New Hampshire name. Not 1 New Hampshire name. Not 1 New Hampshire name. And California billionaire built this campaign dollar for dollar from 3,000 miles away. And let's not even get into his criminal background. Now let's look at where the money went. Amanda Grady Sexton, the same Amanda Grady Sexton coordinating messaging with the Attorney General's office, was paid $15,000 in consulting fees on March 14th. $15,000 more on April 30th, and $15,000 more on May 17th. $45,000 in consulting fees alone in just this one filing period, plus reimbursements on top of that, food, travel, online advertising, and videography, blah, 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 and apparently security for Amanda Grady Sexton. And Andrew Beamer, the campaign's own treasurer, the man whose signature is on this filing, paid himself $2,500 in consulting fees 4 separate times. $10,000 to the person responsible for overseeing where the money went. Now let's talk about the phones. Check this out. June 7th, 2018, paid to FLS Connect, LLC, St. Paul, Minnesota. Amount, $49,686.94. Nature of expenditure, media phones. So FLS Connect isn't a mystery vendor. It's a national phone outreach firm, the kind of company campaigns hire to make calls at a large scale. So I need to be completely precise here because precision is the whole show. We're receipts only. We don't go on vibes or gossip, okay? So this filing does not say those calls went to state representatives. It does not say these were the calls Linda Kennison complained about to her caucus. What it says is this. In the same election cycle, during the same window, legislators were describing deceitful calls promoting Marsy's Law to their constituents. The Marsy's Law campaign's own state filing shows nearly $50,000 paid to a phone outreach company. Maybe that's a coincidence of timing? I don't think so. Or maybe it's the first time anyone's put the complaint and receipt in the same room. One donor, $430,000 and $0 from New Hampshire. $45,000 in consulting fees to the woman coordinating with the Attorney General's office. $10,000 a campaign's own treasurer paid to himself, and $50,000 to a phone vendor in the same window state legislators were calling the calls they received deceitful. None of this is a theory. It's a state filing signed and dated, received by the New Hampshire Department of State. As election season and a new legislative session come back around, this is exactly the moment to be asking, who's calling your house? Who's writing the talking points and who's paying for both? This is Gracie Gatto, and we'll see you on the other side.